Now we have to first decide our mood board, which are the references for our inspiration and which will help us to design our new facade out of the old facade or the existing facade, where you can find here in the lower bottom in the middle of the picture that you see around. And we have also some other pictures for our inspirations, such as the windows here in this building, the windows composition and how they stand together is so inspiring. And also we will apply this composition into our facade, as you can see here. We have also some other pictures which we are going maybe to be inspired from the style or the colors or lighting and so on. I included all these pictures in the folder, attach it to the tutorial. You can reach the folder, as you can see here. You can find all these pictures, and also I attached some other folders where you can also reach through the attachments, and these folders contain the textures and other objects. So here you can find the texture that we are going to use in different parts of the image, and also you can find the plants that we are going to place into our collage. And now let's start working on our result image. Now let's create a new document. So the dimensions of the documents are up to you, or up to the image that you are going to produce, but let's be sure that the resolution is 300, and let's just create it. And now let's choose place embedded to put our picture, which is the central bank or the picture that you are going to work on. And I advise you to also work on your own image, but this is really zoomed out, so we need to zoom it in so that we put more details. So I'm going to make it bigger, and yes, I think this works. And then after placing our picture and being satisfied of it, let's rasterize it so that we can crop it and delete the parts that we are not going to work on. So rasterize layer, and now crop and enter. And now we have our image ready to work on. And as you know, we are going to work on this image as a background for our new design. So let's reduce the opacity to 35, let's say, so that we can work on it. And if I don't want it to move while working by mistake, I want to lock this layer, so let's lock it. And now it wouldn't move at all, which is good for us. After this, we want to put some reference lines by using the ruler. So just by dragging from the ruler some lines, we are going to specify where our facade is so that we can work easily on this facade or add textures and so on. So now we are dragging from the ruler some reference lines, and after this let's load our texture. So I'm opening the file and I will choose the texture number 13. So let's open it. And in order to use it in Photoshop, we want to turn it into a pattern. So from the edit menu, I will choose define pattern, and let's just do OK. After this, we are going to come to our image and let's draw a rectangle, and from the fill options, let's choose the pattern that we created already, and let's start drawing from the reference lines that we had. So we are drawing our rectangle to cover the whole upper part of the facade, and we can actually change the scale if we want the scale of the pattern from here, as you can see. So let's try some different numbers according to your concept and to the pattern scale that you want to reach to, so you can just play around, and I'm satisfied with this result. So now let's start to draw the windows on the facade, but let's first have the reference lines so that we can use it in deciding the facade windows. So according to your sketch, maybe you can draw this reference lines, or you can even do it by trial and error. So you can just try to place the windows or the elements that you want on the facade. So let's do it. Now let's turn off the background layer for a moment and focus on working on this image. Let's rasterize it because we are going to remove some parts of it to put our windows. So rasterizing it, and then with the selection tool, we are going to select some parts that we are going to put our voids in and delete. But you have to notice that if I select like this window and I select another one, the first selection will go because I didn't activate the option where you can find here the additive selection. So now we can add as much as we want. So let's start selecting the voids according to our sketch or our thoughts, or even if you want to try while working. Now we press delete to remove the texture from these voids, and then we are going to place our windows. But I noticed that in the top right corner of our facade there is a place that we can add a new window inside. So let's start drawing some reference lines again and remove this part so that we can have a new window here. And I'm starting to put some lines again from the ruler, and then I'm going to select the part, and here you go. Let's delete it, and now we have our windows ready. So this is our new composition of the upper part of the facade, and let's see the window. We want to go back to our reference image to know what kind of window we are going to put. So if you see here, guys, the window has some depth into the facade. So there is some thickness of the wall, and then into this void we put our window. So if we want to do it here, we have also to draw in perspective this depth and this thickness. We can do this by adding some reference lines again, and then we are going to paint into these lines so that we can give this feeling of depth. So if you are totally in front of the window, in perspective, you have to draw from two sides these perspective lines. If you are going to find not from the very central place, from maybe the right side or left side, accordingly and according to the perspective rules, just draw the lines according to it, and it depends also on your facade. So let's start drawing these lines, and then we're going to paint them. And now with our lasso tool we want to choose this depth and paint it so that it gives us this feeling as we have already mentioned. So I will start drawing or selecting with them like this, and because of our reference lines it's really easier to select and right click and let's paint it, or we can just use the paint tool and let's choose the gray tool and we have it done. So let's do the same thing to the other windows. And let's go back to our reference image so that we can see what we're going to do. And as you can see here, the light actually makes a part of this depth darker. So we have also to do the same thing, right? We have to make a part which is dark and another part which is more light. So we are going to draw this depth also according to the perspective rules. And after we select all of them, we are going to make these parts lighter or the other one darker. Let's do it. And now we have to create a new layer, and on this new layer we are going to paint another tone, a lighter tone of gray, so that we see the feeling more and more. But why gray? Because the material of the cladding is also gray. If it was another color, we would choose also kind of similar or close color to the facade, but now it works very well. And after that, we can also add the window frames. So let's see our reference image and how the window frames are placed, like this one. And then in our image, we are going to add the reference lines again to draw these window frames. So remember that we are actually drawing something like a sketch or a collage. So it might not be 100% precise, because it's just an exercise to refresh and increase our creativity. But try to make it in ratio, try to make each of the frames consistent so that it doesn't look really weird. So let's do all the reference lines. And now it's the turn to paint into the window frames. So the color might be also inspired from this picture. So we have to choose maybe a light color than this grays, of course. So by the selection tool, we select the whole frame, and then we have to get out the inner frame, right? Or the inner window where we will put the glass later. So let's use the subtraction selection and subtract these window parts. The middle frame is big, so we can reduce it, and now I think it looks good. On a new layer, of course, we are going to paint, so don't forget to have a new layer so that you can modify later. And let's try this color. I think we can choose a lighter color. Let's do it, and let's see how it looks like. I think it looks fine. So let's do the other windows then. Let's start painting the other window frames. And now let's paint also the same color on the window frames using the paint tool. So we are done with this. And because we are on the same layer, we can also choose the white spaces into these frames so that we can put or we can paint with the gloss color. So let's use it by selecting the magic wand tool from here. and let's select all these white spaces. After this, we are going to do a new layer, and in this new layer we are going to paint it into the glass color. And we can take the glass color maybe using the dropper tool from our reference image, and because we are working on different layers, it's really easy later to change the colors according to the composition, to the final composition. But now let's take the colors from the image here, as I told you, and using the dropper tool we choose a color, and with the paint tool let's paint it. And here we go. I think now we have a more concrete result of the part of the facade. Let's continue in the next part. And now, after we have painted our glass, it's our time to do the background and the trees and so on. But first of all, let's try to clear the non-needed reference lines so that we can work without any confusion. So let's do it. Now we're done, and we just left the reference lines that surrounds our part of the facade that we worked on. Now I had another line here because I want to draw a console. So the console will be extended to a bit out of this facade, and it would be used, for example, to cover people from rain or whatsoever, or even to just tell the people that the entrance is here somehow. Like, you know, we are just playing and we're trying new different solutions. So I did these reference lines, and we're going to try to paint this console. After having our reference lines like this, we want to draw on perspective how it would look like, right, from the bottom. So we have another reference line which will be less in thickness than the other one, than the console itself, and we will paint it in perspective. So it will have some diagonal lines, and above it we are going to paint our console. So let's continue drawing our reference lines, and then let's use the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, and we are drawing, or we are selecting the space that we are going to paint it. Yes, still here. And let's connect them together. And we will paint them in gray again. Yes. Let's do a new layer and paint inside of it. So let's choose the same gray as this dark one. After this, above it we are going to draw our main console. It has to have the same alignment. And let's paint it in maybe lighter gray, like this one. And now we kind of have it ready. So we have this part. Also we have then to work on the lower part of the facade, which has the entrance and the glass facade and so on. So if we go back to our reference image, we will find that the facade composition is kind of different. So we are going to maybe get inspiration out of this again. Let's see here. So you see there are kind of pre-soleil, like some breakers, and also special door opening. So let's apply the same thing here, because this is kind of fun to copy one facade to another facade's building. So let's start with the entrance. And we can choose the door to be in the center of the facade, or in whatever location you are going to choose in your building. And then let's draw the door frame, and also exactly the same as we did in the window, we have to draw the perspective depth to give it thickness, and also to paint them in different tones to show the light and shadows. So we are going to do exactly the same that we did with the windows. So let's do it. Now, in order to place our louvers on the lower part of the facade, let's draw kind of a frame for this lower part of the facade, a big frame which will cover the whole facade, and we will put our louvers in the next stage. But first let's draw it, and we will do the same also stage of doing the window frame. So let's go. And now it's ready and started to get its shape, as you can see. But the door became in the back. We want to take it to the front, so all we are going to do to put the layer above the frame layer. So by doing this, the door is now in the front. Let's also paint a frame for the door inside this door frame. So we will do the same steps. Now it's our time to do the louvers. So we are going to take the thickness of the frame here as a reference, and we will create a new layer, and then we're going to paint the new layer like this, and with the move tool let's move it. So now we have our first louver, and by holding the Alt button from the keyboard we can just copy it. But let's put all of them in a folder. So I will create a new folder by selecting them, and you can copy inside of this folder so that you don't have a lot of layers. It would be also good if you rename the layers that you work on for later adjustments. Now it's the turn to paint the glass behind the louvers. So let's choose the louver layers and let's paint the glass behind it. But after selection where we are going to put the glasses. So with the magic wand and with the polygonal lasso tool you can also select, or with the normal selection tool. Now after this, we can also choose the same layer of the glass that we painted the window in, or just any layer behind the frames. And let's also paint with the same color of the glass that we have chosen. And remember, because we work in different layers, it's really easy later to change your color of the glass, of the material, of anything. You can even import new material to anything that you have put in. We can change the style of the whole drawing easily just by putting some textures on the colors that we have selected. So now we are done with the first stage maybe of our modeling. We have the facade ready. After this we are going to do the environment, to put the trees, the sky and the people, to add this new soul and new character of our collage. So keep tuned and let's go to the next step. Now our facade is almost ready and it's time to put some textures for the pavement, and let's load the textures that we're going to work on from the attachments that we have given you. So let's pick this one. Number 17. Also, maybe you can pick 14 as well. And now let's create patterns from these two. So, edit define pattern, and let's save them. The same thing here. Let's go to our collage and draw a rectangle, loading our pattern or selecting our pattern. So we are going to draw a rectangle here for the pavement in front of the building. We tried the other pattern because it looks more realistic, and now we have to make it bigger because we will play with it in the perspective, so we don't want it to be small. So let's make it bigger a bit, and your image will be different than the image I'm working on, right? Because your project is going to be different, so you have to trust your perspective knowledge and also your eyes, and accordingly you can play with them. Now we want to adjust the perspective, so we will play first we want to make it till the facade bottom like now, and we will play with the corners so that it can give this perspective feeling. Like this, yes, and the other way also the same thing, pressing on the white point while pressing Ctrl and dragging it, and it will be adjusted like this. Now it's time to put some landscaping, so let's start with putting some grass here. We will take a reference line to reference where we are going to put the grass, and we will follow the lines on the pavement so that we also know the perspective and how to place this grass. So using the polygonal lasso tool, we are going to choose how much area should we keep for the grass. And now, as you can see here, I'm drawing this, and also I will do the same thing on the other way, so we will have two of them. Now let's paint any color. So we have to create a new layer and then just paint any color inside of it, because we want actually to add the texture. So after painting it, let's go to the layer that we have painted in, and from the layer styles we might choose pattern overlay. So let's do it, but before this let's define the pattern, right? So we chose this pattern, for example, we open it, and as we did before, edit define pattern, we have to save it, and then let's go to our layer and do this pattern overlay. So right click and choose the from the effects pattern overlay, or you can do it also from the blending options. But let's make the scale smaller so that it becomes realistic. Now it's really big, and now we are making it closer to being realistic. Now it's time to make our sky, but let's first clear the non-needed reference lines, and let's go to our reference image, because from there we will get a start point as an inspiration of how it will look like. So for instance, here you can see a gradient in the background, right? There is no just one color, couple of colors. So from the gradient tool, let's pick these colors, and later on we can change them according to our image. But as a starting point, it's cool to take these colors. So we got these colors, and then let's paint with them in our visual. So let's draw a rectangle again with the gradient. Yes, and let's just rotate it. So yeah, here now it's correct, and let's put this layer in the lowest layers, because we need everything above the sky, not under it like you see now. So let's drag it the whole way down. And here you go. Now let's go to filter and then filter gallery to apply the cutout effect to the facade. So let's go to the facade layer, be sure. And from the filter gallery, let's use cutout effect. Why are we doing this? So that we can find this feeling of illustration. Now the texture of this laminated stone is kind of realistic. We want to make it more like illustration so that we reach the result that we want to reach, like this illustrative language somehow. And let's play with these settings. As you see, we are going to play and see what kind of result do we like. So you keep just trying according to your image and to your environment, to your visual, it would change. And now, as you see, we have a good result, but these black lines actually are so much. So from color range, let's choose them. So with the eyedropper, we shot them and we press OK, and it will choose all the black lines in the image. And from color hue saturation, we are going to reduce these black lines by increasing the lightness, and now it will be less emphasized. And we can also actually make it again one more time to make it lighter. And we can also apply these things to all the layers. So to the pavement, to the grass texture, to any other thing that we have. And be careful when you choose the plants or the people. Try to choose something from the same language that you are going to produce the result in. And this is really important in making your image look beautiful. We want this pavement to be less dominant, so let's make it into black and white from the image settings. And let's do maybe less saturation from hue saturation. Yes, like this. Now it looks better, I guess, but we can also make the cutout first to make it also look like illustration. So let's play with these settings until we reach something looks good. And after this, actually this gray is really dark, so we can make it lighter so that we give this bright vibe of the image. So first, let's adjust from the filter gallery this one using cutout. And after this, let's do the settings of light by pressing Ctrl+L or levels. And from here, let's make it lighter, as you can see. And now I think it looks more beautiful. And we can also do the same thing for the facade as well from the levels. And yes. Now let's change the colors of the windows and also the profiles. So the window now can be somehow a reflection of the color of the sky. So we can do color overlay and choose something like closer to the sky. You can reach color overlay or just make paint inside the layer of the windows. So we have this one here, and also let's do it on the lower part using the same method. And we will also change the colors of our frames using the same method. So it's just a matter of trial and error. Just try some colors, and the one that you like you can just choose. So let's do this quickly. Let's do the same effect to the grass from filter gallery. But if you are opening filter gallery now, you will find that by doing cutout that is not perceived actually. Why? Because we have to rasterize also the layer so that we can work on it. After rasterizing the layer, let's go to filter gallery, cutout, and we will have our effect applied. And it looks beautiful. After this, we might want to change the tone of the sky. So by choosing the sky, let's play with the gradient. And we can do this by easily choosing any other color instead of this color. So let's play with the colors until we reach a result that is suitable to our building or the feeling that we want to communicate to the audience. So we can choose different colors and you can choose the one that you like. So I want to choose something which gives this bright and vibrant life. So maybe we choose this one, yes. And after this, let's add some other details. As you can see here from the picture, we have these trees in illustration way, and I have also uploaded some of them in the attachments. You can also do it yourself or you can buy them from some markets. And let's load some of them. As you can see here, I have a couple of ready ones. So let's choose this one and let's place it into our image. What you see here is kind of desaturated, so we might need to increase the saturation by the levels. Let's increase it, and now it looks more vibrant and lively and beautiful. And let's place them. Let's also continue to place some other plants and play with them. So you can do it according to the space that you want to fill them with, or the type of environment that you are working with or in. So let me do them quickly and then let's move to the next step. And now that we have this beautiful view, it's time to add the people, which will indicate the scale of our work. So let's place our people in different ways and in different places so that we can see the scale of them clear. We have attached also this people file or PNG that you can also work on. So let's choose one by one of them and add them to different places. And please be careful of the scale of the people. Don't just add them, but just measure them with any reference like windows, like a tree, and also be careful of the perspective rules, and accordingly let's move them. So let's start placing them. And now we can do some abstract clouds. It will make the sky looks more beautiful. So on a new layer, using the polygonal lasso tool, let's draw some triangles, and paint them in a lighter color than we see here on the reference image on the top left corner. So we can also put them here in our image. Let's close this one also, and this one as well. And let's start painting. So we have to choose some lighter color than the color of the sky, and we have also to make them look like elegant somehow, so try to choose a size according to your image. So here we started painting, and yes, it looks nice. Let's do a couple of them more. This was my work. I can't wait to see yours as well. So please, after you do your project, upload it because I'm really curious to see it. So, see you.